Hey there guys, Noah here, and welcome back to another Vanguard discussion video. Today I'm here to talk about the current state of Vanguard Zero, and I want to start by saying that the long-term player bonus really did help out a lot of people, myself included, who've been playing this game long enough and are totally free to play. It's honestly really good to see that, Game Studio is actually wanting to take a step in the right direction, but there are still a few issues with the game that I'm going to highlight in today's video. And a lot of it really comes down to what's going on the JP server. But I'll get to that in a little bit. Anyway, if you guys enjoy this kind of content, be sure to leave a like and a comment down below letting your thoughts, and also consider subscribing, because any bit of support is greatly appreciated. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, I know for a fact that Different Fight is eventually going to go out there and make his own video regarding the entire game, and I want to start by saying that when I talk about the game in large, I'm more so talking about the global side, but I'm also going to reference the JP side as well, because there are a lot of issues on the JP side for what I hear, and while I don't play on the JP server that much, if at all, I do want to get my 2 cents in, seeing how the JP server also affects the global server in a weird way. So let me start by saying that the long-term player bonus really did help out quite a bit. It definitely helped out a lot of people who were free to play, and people who honestly just wanted to get into the game in general and wanted a long-term commitment, and it definitely helps. Especially since we can actually get start decks, more G skins, which is something that a lot of people have been asking for, and a crap ton of stride material, and that was really freaking good. Like, I can't believe how much stride material I gained from just the long-term player bonus, and it's honestly really great. That being said, why didn't JP get this? Because this is the thing that I know Different Fight is going to mention in his video, but why is it that JP didn't get this first? And more importantly, why they haven't gotten playmats either? Like, we've had playmats for quite a while, I believe ever since set 6. So there's really no excuse why JP doesn't have it yet. And I could be wrong on that, I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure they still don't have playmats. And that has got to be the most irritating thing from a JP perspective, because you sit there and you're playing the game, right? And you're like, why am I committing so much if I could have been easily just playing on the global server? It's more free to play friendly, and I honestly don't care if I'm a few sets behind. I guarantee you, it wouldn't surprise me if a few Japanese players move over to the English server specifically for that reason. Much like in the same way how initially a lot of people played on the Japanese server, even despite the fact that they weren't living in Japan. Kind of that kind of, shtick, if you get what I mean. Overall, there are a lot of issues with the JP server that they do have to fix at some point, but those are really the big 2 reasons why I feel like JP needs to get its act together. So the next major thing I kind of want to get out there, just as a side note, is why the fuck have Nubatama and Tachikaze haven't gotten anything since Fighters Collection? Like, it really irks me, because really, unless most of the G-era support is Dominate focused, you could have released Nubatama in set 9 instead of giving Gold Paladin more shit. Like, honestly, I think that's what irks a lot of players more so than anything else, for those people who actually play those clans. And Tachikaze, I completely understand why they're waiting until then, but like, that still feels bad. That's still Struggle Street, and to me there was really no excuse for it at all. I'm going to say this now. Save your stride mats, because I guarantee you, when the Zeroth Dragons inevitably come out with the GZ update, they're gonna cost 10,000. There is no way they do not cost 10,000 stride mats, because when you sit there and you think about it, right? And I'm saying worst case scenario too, right? Unless they just hand us all the Zeroth Dragons for free, and that would actually be pretty fair and balanced at that point, instead of having us pull them from this random event, or having to actually craft the Zeroth Dragons at that point. Because really, I think that's one of the biggest things going forward, is because GZ is coming, we know Zeroth Dragons are coming. But there are 2 really big questions at the end of the day that I think a lot of people are probably going to ask once we get closer to the end of GMAX is, one, how the hell are you going to balance some of these cards? Because some of these cards are really freaking cracked. Like, Drachma and Ultima in particular can probably be very abusable given, like, how Zero works. And the less I talk about all the other cards, including Gize, the better. But the biggest issue is, how are we going to get these? Because they are one-ofs in the deck, and you don't, as a result, you don't need more than the one copy. So, are they going to release these cards slowly like they did in the TCG, or are they just going to give us all of them at once? Or, you know, how are we going to get the cards? Are we going to have to just pull it from Gacha? Or are we going to have to pull it from a clan event or something along those lines? You know, it's going to be really dicey no matter which way you look at it. And it could very easily get out of hand, even more so than it was in the TCG if they're not too careful when it comes to the balancing. So I know that it's so far away from now. Like, we're not even talking about this year. We're talking like next year, either mid to late next year in general, because I imagine that G-Next is going to carry and bleed through the rest of the year, going into early next year. But then we have to look at GZ, because that's going to be, how do I dare say, really problematic. And I'm not even just talking about, you know, that, you know, the Zerov Dragons in particular, because a lot of the GZ support, when you put some of those cards into context for, you know, Vanguard Zero, it's gonna get really out of hand, especially certain decks like Nubatama and Link Joker, because they have a little bit of a control aspect to them. Nubatama in particular being a big culprit, because Dominate as a mechanic, I feel like is going to be, one, very abusable, and two, very freaking busted, unless they find a way to make it a little more fair. But even that's kind of rough. So I'm not 100% sure what, like, the best course of action is at that point. And meanwhile, you've got clans that really get even more stupid as things go along, like Greydora. Like, oh crap, I realize we're gonna have to deal with Greydora later, and that's gonna be really annoying too. Like, a lot of the support, it gets turned up to 11, and I don't know whether or not they're going to be able to realistically bounce some of those cards, if at all. They may just outright and say, fuck it, we're not going to release some of these, because realistically speaking, a lot of these cards really don't mesh well with Vanguard Zero logic. So, I don't know, you guys can tell me in the comment section if I'm fucking crazy for it, because even going beyond GZ, let's say in a hypothetical scenario that they decide in the long term they want to do V. I'm gonna say it, there is no reasonable way to balance gifts as a mechanic. Mostly because you would have to completely rework them. For Force 1, you would have to make it 5k instead of 10k. For Excel, you would have to make it so that way it's also 5k, but then you also lose Intercept on that one, you know, card. And then Protect is just probably the most abusable one out of the bunch, because you get more than just one Sentinel, more than the, you know, the 4 Sentinels at that point. I'm not 100% sure how they're going to go about it, and if they decide later that they want to do Type 2, that's also going to be really problematic. Like, and I know I'm thinking years into the future with this game, but when I look back at a lot of these long-term player bonuses, and I look at all the recent stuff they've done for Global, I kind of get the sense that either they don't have any intention to go past GZ, or they're going to make it very, very annoying going into V, if they do decide to go to V. Now, I realize that a lot of what I'm saying is pretty hypothetical, extremely hypothetical in some cases, but you also have to take it from the perspective of somebody who legitimately thought the game was dead several months ago. Like, I released that video with strong criticism because I knew for a fact that Vanguard Zero needed, you know, free-to-play options, and very damn good free-to-play options at that. Like, when they released the new start decks, or whatever the hell, way back, I think it was like 2 sets ago, and they only gave it to new players or returning players, and not the people who've been playing the game the longest, to me, that kind of really just, that left a sour taste in my mouth, especially. Regardless, I'm glad that they have this now, but I can't deny, like, it doesn't sit well with me, especially knowing that they may be doing this to say, hey, we're gonna give you all this free stuff, but we're gonna make your lives a living hell going forward. Like, that's the kind of vibe I'm getting. You know, it's more or less equivalent exchange. They're gonna give us something and then they're gonna expect a crap ton back. Like, that's what I'm kind of getting from it. Now, that could just be negative Nancy talking, but again, knowing what you guys have seen already and overall experienced, it wouldn't be that surprising if the long-term goal is, we're going to make this very, very painful for you. We're going to make this the worst grind for you possible. And we're not going to make this game any funner than it was before, when you had to go ahead and pull multiple GRs and barely had enough stride material to do even crap the one. Like, honestly, that's the vibe I'm getting. Now, I admit I don't play the ranked ladder that much, if at all, at times, but I can't sit there and deny that what they did was honestly great. Now, do that for JP and give them a crap ton more for making them wait on certain things. Overall, I think that Vanguard Zero, I hate saying this, you know, I hate eating my own words, but Vanguard Zero is holding on by a thread. Like, before it was legitimately considered brain dead, but now it's on life support. So we're gonna wait to see how things play out. I know that sounds very critical and very just scummy as fuck, but again, I can't help but to feel this way, and I know Different Fight feels the exact same way in some situations, and I'm kind of curious to see what he thinks, so I hope he releases his videos soon. If you aren't just sub to him at this point, go sub to him. I know I ain't sponsored or anything like that, but still, I can't help but to feel like this. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think about all this. And until next time, this is Noah, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.